In today's video we're answering the question, what if Hades had tried to rule Mount Olympus? The untold story. Welcome back everyone. Here stories of the most powerful beings in the cosmos come to life through the clash of their powers and the drama of their conflicts. But sometimes the greatest power struggles are hidden beneath the surface. Today, we will uncover an almost forgotten rebellion that shook the foundations of Olympus and explore why the god of the dead never desired the throne of the living. We will also reveal why Hades remains the most misunderstood god of Olympus. And finally, we will delve into the dark side of Mount Olympus and expose the truth behind Hades and his Olympian siblings. This is a story you won't want to miss, so make sure you watch until the end. Let's get started. We all know about Hades, the god of the dead, right? He's the son of Cronus and Rhea, brother of Zeus and Poseidon, and husband of Persephone. He rules over the underworld with his loyal dog Cerberus at his side. And he brings peace and order to those who have passed. But what if Hades had tried to be more than just the god of the dead? What if he had tried to take over Mount Olympus and become king of the gods? Would he have succeeded, or would he have been defeated like his father before him? Well, let me tell you a story that not many know about. It all started when Cronus and the Titans were defeated by the Olympians, and Zeus became the supreme leader of the cosmos. But Zeus wasn't exactly fair when it came to dividing the spoils of war. He decided that he wanted the sky and the earth for himself, leaving Hades and Poseidon to fight over the sea, and Hades ended up with the underworld instead. Now, you might think that this was a pretty good deal for Hades, considering that he got his own realm to rule over and all the power that came with it. But don't forget that Hades wasn't just any god. He was the god of the dead, which meant that he had access to the souls of every human who had ever lived. And let's just say that those souls weren't exactly the most peaceful bunch. With just a snap of his fingers, Hades could raise an army of the dead that would make even Zeus tremble. But Hades didn't do that. He didn't try to overthrow his brother or rule over the living. He accepted his fate and became the god of the dead. Or did he? No, my friends. There is more to this story than meets the eye. For deep down, Hades was seething with resentment towards his brother. He knew that he had been cheated out of his birthrights, and he wanted revenge. He gathered the souls of the dead under his banner and plotted to take over Mount Olympus. Hades assembled an army of the dead that was unlike anything Olympus had ever seen before. There were skeletons and zombies, ghosts and goblins, mummies and demons. All of them were drawn to Hades' promise of power and glory. They marched on Olympus and fought against the gods with all their might. Now, you might think that this was a pretty stupid plan. I mean, who would go against the most powerful god in the cosmos, right? But don't forget that Hades wasn't just any god. He was the god of the dead, and that gave him a certain advantage over the Olympian. See, the thing about the Olympians is that they were immortal. They couldn't die, but they could be defeated and sent to the underworld. And once they were there, they were under Hades' control. Hades used this to his advantage and tricked some of the Olympians into joining his side. He promised them power and glory in the afterlife, and they couldn't resist. Soon, he had most of the major gods on his side, including Hera, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, and Artemis. And then it happened. The gates of Olympus were breached, and Hades and his army of the dead stormed the castle. Zeus was taken by surprise and barely managed to escape with his life. He fled to a cave where he hid for 10 years until he was sure that Hades had been defeated. But Zeus wasn't the only one who was taken by surprise. The other Olympians were caught off guard by the strength of Hades' army and the ferocity of his attack. They had never seen anything like it before, and they didn't know how to stop it. Some of them fought bravely, like Poseidon, who unleashed his trident and created earthquakes that shook the very foundations of Olympus. But even he couldn't withstand the power of Hades' army forever. Soon, all the Olympians were defeated and sent to the underworld. Hades had taken over Olympus and become the new king of the gods. Or had he? No, my friends, there is more to this story than meets the eye. For in the end, Hades didn't actually want to be king of the gods. He just wanted to be recognized as one of them. You see, Hades wasn't like Zeus or Poseidon. He didn't crave power or glory. He was content with his role as the god of the dead. But what he couldn't stand was being ignored or underestimated. He wanted his siblings to respect him and acknowledge his power. And so he staged this whole charade, this fake takeover of Olympus, just to show them what he was capable of. Once he had defeated the Olympians and taken over their realm, Hades called a meeting on Olympus. He summoned all the gods and goddesses to the highest peak of the mountain and addressed them with a booming voice. "I am Hades," he declared, "the god of the dead, and now I am also the king of the gods. You may think that I am a monster, a cruel and merciless ruler who delights in the suffering of others. But I am not. I am a god of balance and justice. I bring order to the chaos of the mortal world. I give peace to those who have suffered, and I offer hope to those who have lost. The gods were stunned by Hades' words. They had never heard him speak so passionately. They had always seen him as a quiet and brooding god, one who kept to himself and avoided the drama of a life. But now they were seeing a new side of him, a side that was strong and confident, a side that was not to be messed with. I know that you have doubted me, Hades continued. You have questioned my power and mocked my ability. But now you see that I am not to be underestimated. I am Hades, the god of the dead, and as long as there are mortals on earth, I shall be their king. The gods were ashamed of themselves. They realized that they had made a grave mistake by challenging Hades. They had awakened a power that they could not control, and now they were paying the price. Hades was not just a god to be ignored or disrespected, he was a force to be reckoned with. And so, the gods bowed before Hades and acknowledged him as their king. They swore to serve him and obey his commands. And they promised never to challenge him again. And that is how Hades became the most powerful god on Olympus. Not because he craved power or glory, but because he was respected and feared by his peers. But Hades' rise to power did not come without a cost. For deep down, it changed him. It made him colder and more calculating. He became more interested in maintaining his power than in serving his purpose. And that is why Hades remains the most misunderstood god of Olympus. He is not the monster that the poets and bards made him out to be. But he is not the hero that the people of Earth would like him to be either. He is a god of balance, yes, but he is also a god of darkness. He is a god who reminds us that death is a natural part of life, and that even the mightiest of gods must face their mortality. And that is why Hades is the most interesting god of Olympus. Now let's move on to the last part of our story. What was the dark side of Olympus? Well, let me tell you, it was a place of intrigue and betrayal. The Olympians were not always united, and sometimes they turned on each other. Hades and his siblings had a complicated relationship. On one hand, they were bound by blood and loyalty. They had fought together and suffered together to defeat the Titans and establish the new order of things. But on the other hand, they were also rivals and competitors. They each wanted to be the most powerful and influential god, Olympus, and they were willing to do whatever it took to achieve that goal. Let's start with Hades and Zeus. As I mentioned earlier, they were both sons of Cronus and Rhea, but they were also half-brothers. Hades' mother was Persephone, the daughter of the Titans Gaia and Urania, while Zeus's mother was Mattis, the daughter of the Titan goddess Thea and the primordial deity Uranus. This made them both heirs to the throne of the Titans, but it also made them potential rivals for the same crown. From the moment they were born, Hades and Zeus were in competition with each other. They were both ambitious and determined, and neither one was willing to yield to the other. When their father, Cronus, was overthrown and the Titans were defeated, Zeus and Hades found themselves in a position to claim the throne of the cosmos. But instead of working together, they turned on each other. Zeus was faster and stronger than Hades, and he managed to trick their father into giving him the sky and the earth, leaving Hades with the underworld instead. Hades wasn't done fighting though. He turned his attention to his other siblings and began plotting against them. He wanted to prove that he was the most powerful and influential god on Earth, and he was willing to do whatever it took to achieve that goal. Now you might ask, what does this all mean? Well, it means that Hades was not just a god of the dead, but also a god of power and ambition. He was a god who understood the complexities of the human psyche and the motivations that drive us. He knew that power is the ultimate aphrodisiac and that even the most virtuous of gods can be corrupted by it. That's why he challenged Zeus and tried to take over Olympus. He wasn't just trying to rule over the living, he was trying to rule over all of existence. He wanted to be the supreme leader of the cosmos, not because he craved power or glory, but because he wanted to prove himself. And that is why Hades is the most intriguing god of Olympus. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you want to see more videos like this. And that's all for today. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, the most powerful weapon against darkness is light.